pole then, with Bunny lining up alongside him, and if we can get a decent camera angle instead of staring at Rizzy's front right tyre, that would be absolutely fabulous. Yes, here we are then, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It looks like a long hold, but it is lights out, and it looks as though Bunny had some pretty good reactions there after the start. But in the second phase, Rizzy got away well, and we're going to go 3 wide because Brindley's had a bit of a shocker off the start, and it looks to be pretty tight there as Dylan's trying to go around the outside of not only Brindley but also McEwen. They're going to be going side by side, but Dylan gets the move done, and I was really worried there's going to be a crash there because it looks as though Brindley was about to get squeezed in between McEwen and Dylan, but Dylan up 2 off the start. McEwen holds position, Brindley down 2, so not a great start from him. Sem's gained a position as well, so that's a good start from him. Liam's lost a few places as well, but Riggsy maintaining the lead. Not the best initial launch, but in that second phase, really smooth and really quick to maintain the lead. And obviously there's a lot to play for now with Bunny behind. But yeah, Riggsy doing exactly what he needed to off of the start to maintain the lead, but Brindley, I'm sure he'll be looking to try and hit back straight away after losing those 2 positions off the start. What happened at the back, James?
Yeah, it was a absolutely fantastic start from Dylan starting P5 in the Mercedes. Got a brilliant launch. He was pretty much ahead of McEwen before they'd even gone under the starting lights. And yeah, Brindley, I think, just playing it safe as well into turn 1. Sem also moving up 1 place on the mediums is a great start for him, and Liam with missing left end plate, that's why he's about 3 seconds off the pack. So yeah, not a great start for him, unfortunately. Just doesn't seem to be getting any look at all this season, does he? But yeah, pretty clean on the whole. Predators moving up 1 obviously because of that incident, but yeah, on the whole not too much change, as yeah, pretty clean start as well from the 14 of them, apart from that incident for Liam, as I said.
Yeah, real shame that for Liam. Obviously a time penalty off of a podium last time out, and that was probably his highlight of the season. That I think P5 in the end it was last week. But yeah, real shame then that he's gotten that damage so early on. McEwen looked to be pressuring the back of Babatunde or Dylan. So we got a lead off actually at Dunlop and yellow flags. McEwen was pressuring Dylan down into the Casio triangle, it looked, but he just backed off. Didn't really want to go for a move by those things at this stage of the race. Yeah, lead spinning there then, and he's gone again out of the second Degner. He's having a bit of a torrid time at the moment. He did seem to be struggling in qualifying. And I think he's kind of carrying that over to the race, which is sad to see.
Yeah, he got away with that damage the first time, but then yeah, losing out the second Degner, and like Liam, that left end plate on the front wing, I should say, has gone. So yeah, not a great start for him or Liam either. But yeah, looks like the battle. But 3rd place potentially hot enough, or that could just be my timings this season. It looks like it's actually going to be Brindley going for a move on McEwen. Harry into turn 1. The Williams is pulled out to the right hand side, just going to go down the inside. McEwen doesn't quite have enough pace to hold it around the outside, and that is Brindley, the championship leader, back up into P4. So now only 1 place off of where he started, and he'll have his sights set on that black car of Dylan just in front of him. And so yeah, Elite now into the pit finally, so it's just the 12 of them pretty much all sticking together, apart from Predators, who is falling away on those medium tyres.
Yeah, apologies, I was a little bit slow catching that move, but yeah, as you say, Brindley now up into 4th. Sem got a little bit wide as well out of turn 1, so I think he's maybe still pushing a little bit too hard, but yes, Preds is the only other driver apart from Sem now that's actually on the medium compound tyres, so to only be a 2.5 seconds off the back of the pack really isn't that bad for him, because obviously he'll come into play on the softs later on, and he's already in P12. I mean, it's going to be a day, I think, where we could see someone scoring some pretty decent points that we might not normally get. Jib Jab looked to be pressuring the back of Bennett, and he's getting quite close again. And I'll tell you what, James, Brindley's actually not closed that gap down to Dylan.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Mercedes been able to pull away a couple of tenths. But yeah, I was just going to say, if I remember correctly, from the last couple of seasons, Predators has done this strategy really well around Japan, starting on those mediums and going into softs at the end, and he's pretty much always found himself up in a decent point scoring position. So I'd be a little surprised if it's not the same today.
Jib Jab thought about it round the outside, but Bennett was the later of the two on the brakes, and he held the position. I thought Jib Jab was going to try it round the outside, but yeah, Bennett outbraking Racing Point quite significantly there to hold on to P9. But Jib Jab's looking pretty racy. Of course, he's got fresh soft compound tyres compared to those ahead of him. That will definitely be to his advantage. But yeah, he's trying to use them at the moment to get past Bennett. But good defending from the Alfa-Romeo driver, and Brindy's still dropping off even further now off of the back of this pack. I don't know if he's got damage or something or what, but he's used half of his battery as well. So he's pushing quite significantly and not really making any inroads. And he's got McEwen and Van Dorn really on the back of him. So I wonder if maybe that overtake on McEwen was perhaps more costly than it seemed to Brindy, because he might have used more battery than he would have liked. Because I mean, if you look at McEwen and Van Dorn, they're on what, 80% battery, 85%. So I think Brindy's kind of just pulling these guys along a little bit, and they're kind of just using Brindy to pull them along and make him use his battery up, because these guys are managing theirs a lot better than the Williams driver at the moment. So yeah, this could be costly for Brindy as this race progresses, because it's pretty difficult to manage the battery around here. As of course now Jib Jab does get past Bennett, pretty easy move then by the looks of things, but Jib Jab as well down to 25% of his battery. It is pretty difficult to manage. You kind of, yeah, there's not really too many like heavy braking zones here where you can save. Obviously the hairpin and the chicane are the two main spots, but other than that it is quite a difficult track in order to keep on top of the battery, and I think Brindy and possibly Jib Jab as well are going to find that out as this race progresses.
Yeah, I think Jason as well, you might not have noticed his, Harry, but yeah, 10% battery already. And yeah, on the other hand, Predator's doing what he always does so well, not dropping off of the pack too much, and he's still got a good 80% of his battery. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, I'd be very surprised if we don't see him in the points come the end, because he's just so good at this, isn't he? He's so consistent in the race. He's good at saving the battery. He doesn't pick up penalties. He keeps himself out of incidents. And on this alternate strategy, he could be in contention for solid points come the end of this race.
Yeah, going to Riggsy then, who looks to be under a little bit of pressure from Bunny. Bunny's definitely closed up that gap to under 4/10 it is now, and both these guys really using a lot of their battery in these opening exchanges. Bunny, I think, is fancying a go, is he, on the Renault driver? Not on this occasion, not quite close enough, but he's forcing Riggsy to use a lot of batteries. Bunny gets a bit of a wiggle on out of the first corner there. That could have been a moment there. So easy to lose the car and the traction coming out of there, but yeah, Bunny really pressuring Riggsy, forcing him to use that battery, and that could be important later on, as all three of these guys are under 50% on their battery. But luckily for them, as we go to Brindy, 30% for him, so Brindy's not really even got anything at his disposal to try and push on to these guys, and the gap's just getting bigger and bigger here, James. So you know, despite having that good championship lead, I'm not sure this would have been ideal for Brindy. I don't think he's necessarily planned on just going for P4 in this race. But it looks as though, at least as it stands, that is going to be the best he's getting. And to be honest, McEwen is far better in terms of battery, and just seems to be kind of sitting behind Brindy, kind of just waiting for his moment. Yeah,
Chex just made a good point in the stream chat, actually, saying that the DRS is probably going to help the top three to pull away a bit more, and yeah, I should think it probably is around here. DRS DRS is pretty powerful down the start finish straight, and yeah, I think Brindy with less battery without it as well, he's going to struggle to keep up with them. Yeah, I think that is probably quite a big factor in why he's struggling to close down the gap. As I think McEwen's just going to sit behind him for a bit, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Jib Jab might be going for another move here, James. He got one Alfa Romeo only a couple of laps to go, and he's going to try and get the other here as he tries to line up Clock for a move into turn one. But again, as Bennett did the first time round, he defended well, did Clock. But if history is going to repeat itself, and Jib Jab will get the move done the second time round, and it will be a fairly easy overtake, but as it looks, as it stands then, it does seem as though that top 3 are just going to start pulling away. I think, as you say, Czech does make a very good point that the DRS will be helping them rather substantially here, but even so, I mean, Brindy's used more battery, so it's not like he's not pushing, is the Williams driver. And to be honest, it's a pretty good battle. He's got McEwen, Van Dorn and Sem as well. Sem's keeping up with these guys on the mediums, so I think Sem's going to be a really big factor. Possibly not on the top 3 if that gap keeps growing, but definitely pushing for that P4 at the end of the race, as obviously he'll be going on to the softs most likely, minus any misdemeanors that we get from now, excuse me, until the pit window. Talking of the pit window, I imagine it will be opening relatively soon, as we're on lap 7 already. It's going pretty quickly, this race. Bunny again then pressuring Riggsy. These top 3 separated by less than a second. Bit of contact, was it? And it looks as though Dylan's now going to be the driver with the run, but that's on his teammate. We've seen in the past these two not really that bothered about fighting one another. Belgium obviously the prime example, where Bunny took the victory, I believe it was, with relatively little fight from Dylan. Sem then the first driver to pick up a time penalty this evening. That could be important later on in this race, because Japan's not normally one of those tracks where you see a lot of penalties being dashed out, handed out, or delivered out. Speak English, that would be useful. But yeah, it looks as though then, James, Riggsy tends to be pulling this gap out in the first sector. It's nearly up to a second now. And then it looks as though Bunny's able to sort of close it down in the middle and final. He's saving quite a lot of his battery, as Bunny actually. He's saved a good 20% since we last checked in on it, whereas Riggsy's kind of staying the same. So as well, that battery that Bunny's saving up could also come into play as we progress. Lap 8, the pit window is going to open lap 9 at the earliest, really, and then you're looking at 10 or 11. So are we going to see someone jump and go for the undercut? You can go onto the hards, but they're pretty slow compared to the mediums here, so I think you want to avoid them if possible. I think mediums is the way to go. But you can't really go on them any earlier than lap 9, as Dylan gets a big tank slapper out of the final corner, and that I think might have pulled the trigger on him coming into the pit. So in comes Dylan then, and he's going onto the mediums. That is a very early stop. McEwen in as well. I think McEwen's going to try and get the jump on Brindy, because it looks as though Brindy was perhaps holding McEwen up, maybe even you could suggest. Jib Jab has gotten past clock, so we did miss that. But obviously history did repeat itself, at least in some form, because Jib Jab did get past the Alfa Romeo the second time of asking. He's up into P6, but obviously with a couple of those guys around him having pitted. Bennett as well pitted, or made a mistake. I think he pitted. Yeah, he has. Pitted. He's pitted for the hards, as McEwen goes onto the hards as well. So early stop then for Bennett, and he finds himself then down into P12 it is.
Yeah, actually, it's turning out that decision by Jib Jab to start on those soft tyres in P11 is a pretty inspired call, actually, from Racing Point. He's been flying, he's been making moves around Japan, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens then with Dylan. Will he undercut not only his teammate but Riggsy as well? Looks like Riggsy.
I think they're going to have to respond, aren't they, James? They can't really afford to go another lap.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't see them both in the pits this lap.
They can't really afford to give Dylan a 2-lap undercut. They will have better tyres at the end, of course, but they can't really afford to give him 2 laps on the undercut then, as Riggsy was quite cautious into the pits and Bunny quite aggressive. They kind of met in the middle. It would be interesting to see if either of these guys get held up. It doesn't look as though Bunny's been held up. Riggsy's been held up quite a lot though, and in fact he's come out behind the Mercedes of Bunny. Riggsy being held up a treat there by Brindy and Van Dorn, and he's lost out to Bunny, and this could be crucial because Dylan might get them both, as you just say, James, and yes he has, with room to spare. Easily done it on the undercut there. Dylan's got a massive advantage. 2.5 seconds probably advantage that he's just gained there on the undercut, and that is massive. I said Dylan would have a point to prove. I felt as though he didn't quite get the potential out of the car in qualifying, and there, look at that. Bish bash bosh, straight into a net P1 goes the Mercedes driver.
Wow, I'm amazed by how much time he gained. Obviously, Riggs got held up in the pits. I'm not sure if Bunny, sorry, might have done as well. But yeah, to come out 2 seconds ahead after being over a second behind the race leaders, yeah, very impressive from Dylan. And now he's just got to continue on his way. Might use Bunny as a bit of a block in between himself and Riggsy.
Well, Bunny's got 100% battery here, James, and Brindy's also benefited from this quite a lot because he's pulled that gap down to nearly under a second here. Riggsy could do with Bunny pushing a bit, not only to try and catch the back of Dylan, but also to avoid Brindy getting pulled into this train. McEwen then going onto the hards, that's really killed him off, I think, as Van Dorn's now, I think, going to look to go for a move on him, is he? Those hards just really aren't a great race tire unless you really have to go onto them. Jib Jab as well has gone onto the hards, which is an interesting call because he started on fresh soft, so you would have thought if anyone could have gone to the mediums, he would. As Van Dorn then on McEwen, it's pretty easy, that one.
I think that could
really
be
put up much of a fight, did McEwen. I think those guys onto the hards probably have made a bit of a mistake there.
I mean,
Van Dorn then getting past pretty comfortably, but look at this. Riggsy really pressuring Bunny. I think he wants him to get a bit of a move on, James.
Yeah, obviously those hards as well will be quick at the end, won't they? But yeah, they're just going to lose a lot of time now, aren't they? Yeah, it looks like Bunny actually has closed up quite a bit as well to Dylan. So yeah, maybe the pressure from beyond from Riggs is making him get a bit of a move on, as you say. Yeah, he has used a bit of the battery as well. And yeah, just about dropping Brindy. If they can push on a bit more and keep the Williams out of DRS, that could be big in for a podium. Ewan's just dropping off on those hards, hasn't he? He's lost 3 seconds to Brindy in a couple of laps.
Brindy's actually found himself just about in DRS range of these guys, so that'll help him out massively if he can get the benefit of the drag reduction system, and it looks as though he will. 9/10 it was just about through the detection, so that'll be massive for Brindy's race as Rigsy's setting the fastest lap, so they're really pushing these guys. Rigsy using a lot of his battery, and I think he's going to go for the move, is he, on Bunny. Thought about it into turn 1, but Bunny positioned his car very nicely there. Didn't really give Rigsy a massive amount of room on the outside, but he gave him enough to go for the move if he wanted to, but I don't think Rigsy really wanted to risk it, and didn't try it on this occasion. These guys are... Oh, Sem's lost it! I was literally just about to say, these guys aren't that far, actually, in practice off of Sem.
I don't think he's got any damage.
About 13 seconds it was, but that's a big mistake from the McLaren driver. He's also good 4 seconds there. And now, well, that's really going to have put a bit of a dent into Sem's race. He's not got any visible damage, but he's probably got a couple of red cheeks after that one, you might have thought.
I think it could probably just be a bit more frustration. He knows he's got the pace, and yeah, just making the mistakes that are going to cost him. I think, yeah, he's lost good 4.5 seconds like that.
Yeah, Riggsy's really pushing onto the back of Bunny. Bunny's used 50% of his battery since he stops, and Riggsy's used a lot as well, but it's difficult to say if he's actually faster or if he's just, well, he's obviously using a lot of battery, but he's really pushing here, is Riggsy. I think he wants to kind of make up for lost ground. He's probably a bit annoyed after what happened in the pits, getting held up so much, and he probably feels that he's got a decent shot at getting at least P2 in this race. As he goes then round the outside, it's going to be through the first corner. Bunny trying to hold it on the inside. There's a bit of contact made wheel to wheel as Bunny sort of muscles his way back past. And apologies, didn't get a great view on that, but I think Bunny just about held firm in his defence and kept P2. And these guys are really pushing because they've caught up to nearly within DRS of Dylan, who's not really used too much of his battery now, kind of just managing it sitting out in front, probably to his benefit actually, to keep or get Bunny into his DRS, because, well, first off it's his teammate behind him, so they're less likely to really battle one another and sort of push one another for the victory, as Belgium proves yet again, and also it stops Riggsy then from pushing on and possibly challenging Dylan later on in this race. But I'm not sure they're going to have much of a say to this, because Bunny's now down to single digits on his DRS, as is Rigsy. Bit of contact made, Rigsy onto the grass, and now he's gone on the curb. Has the Renault driver taking the advertising board with him onto the grass. It looks as though Bunny was pretty aggressive, getting the elbows out again. I didn't really catch it too well though, as TRT KFC Seb has joined, so cheers for that. And we've got Alfa Romeo around as well out of Spoon. That's Bennett. I think again just another one of these drivers really struggling on the hard compound tyres. But yeah, big shame that for Rigsy, who really lost the car on the curb at Spoon there. That's put him right on the back foot now, as Brindy's gone past Bunny in the process as well. So from kind of being down and out in this race, all of a sudden in sort of 5-6 laps, Brindy's actually found himself now in a net P2. So he's been handed a very big get out of jail free card here, whether it was through his own doing or not. But yeah, Brindy now finds himself in a net P2. So when he looked almost down and out for the podium places at one point, he's now right back up there.
Yeah, got Bennett in the pits then after his spin. I think that'll be onto mediums to the end. Yes, it will. Liam might just about get past him. No, Liam is going to remain, unfortunately for him, at the back. He also had a bit of an off at Spoon, so all kicking off on lap 13. So yeah, really is unlucky for some, isn't it? But Brindy now, can he catch Dylan? I think it seems unlikely. Dylan with a lot more battery than the Williams driver. He should just be able to manage this gap. Yeah, obviously 13 laps to go. Quite easy to say, oh, we can just manage it to the end. But yeah, it's looking good, isn't it, for the Mercedes driver? As I should think we'll be seeing Semen Predators in the pits relatively soon as well for the soft tyres to the end.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I mean, if there's any sort of safety car at this point, that really plays into their hands, as the pit window is probably just about open now for those that started the race on the mediums. Predator's doing a really good job, it has to be said, James. He's keeping that gap to Sem pretty stable at around 3 seconds since Sem made that mistake. Obviously he does have slightly fresher mediums considering he started the race on them as opposed to Sem qualifying on them. But even so, it's again another solid performance from Preds. Definitely showing some good consistent race pace. Obviously a long way to go though, and he'll probably have to make some overtakes, you'd imagine, to get into the points, but we'll have to wait and see on that front. I'd be surprised if Rigsy really gets any further up the field now, because he's got nearly 3 seconds back to Van Dorn and then a couple to McEwen, and that gap will probably just keep growing for a bit. So I think that's probably Rigsy's afternoon done in terms of getting any more positions, at least as it stands. Although there is still a long way to go, but it's a shame, because we were on for what looked to be a really good battle, probably a 4-way battle it was going to be, I think, for the race victory. It's now kind of become can Dylan hold on, as Bunny's made a massive mistake there at the Casio Triangle, really struggling with the car it seems since that incident with Rigsy. I don't know if he got any damage or something, did Bunny, but he's really struggling. He's got no battery here. He's now got an Alpha Tauri of Van Dorn, 70% of his battery, closing in on him quite rapidly.
Yeah, no noticeable damage either for the Mercedes, so I think he might have just lost a bit of confidence maybe after that incident. Maybe worrying about steward's decisions or something like you usually do after you've had a bit of contact with another driver. But also, yeah, very low on the battery now as well, won't be helping him, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a move from Van Dorn in a few laps. And I also wouldn't be surprised if we see the guys that have started this race on the medium tyres in this lap either. I think they could stretch the softs to the end without too many issues from here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they've probably got to. They want to have as many laps on those softs as possible, and now probably is the right time to pit, if not lap 17 at the latest, you'd imagine. So let's see then if Van Dorn can get himself past Bunny. He's looking much better on the battery front, but obviously that's not necessarily the defining factor here, as we have got Sem into the pits. Preds is going to go around and do one more lap then by those things. Bunny's getting quite a nice run when he's not messing it up at least out of the Casio triangle. So it means that Van Dorn's kind of on the back foot going down the straight, not really able to challenge him into turn 1. Sem then on those fresh softs, he's going to come out down in P11. So much like I said, Preds probably would, going to have to make an overtake or two to get himself up into the points, but he's only 4 seconds off of that pack of Clock, Jib Jab and Jason. So he's got a pretty decent shot at least 8th place, you'd imagine, does Sem, but I'm sure that wasn't what he was hoping for going into the weekend. Or sorry, it will be 7th once Preds has pit, but even so, same point still stands. Oh, he's now lost the car. Actually, at Dunlop, he's just lost the car. So, well, again, the classic Division 1 phrase, when it rains it pours, it seems. It seems you either have a very bad weekend or a good weekend here, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and,
damage.
Looks
Well,
as though
let them take on.
it's the former rather than the latter for Sem.
Yeah. No left template anymore. Then that'll be back in the pits again, I should think. Jason now all over the
Dylan
back
on Preds,
of
James.
Oh.
I know Preds still has to pit, but Dylan's going to get the move done just before that happens. Couldn't really afford, I guess, to lose the maybe 2-3 tenths that he would have done behind Preds. So Preds now comes into the pits. He will find himself actually in P10 then, after he stops, which is pretty nice for him. So he's going to have a point regardless of what happens after that. And, well, can he do what Sem obviously isn't going to be able to now and catch the back of that 3-car train and find himself into what could be P7. Clock holding firm in his defence at the moment, still got Jib Jab behind him, so I think Clock actually pitted slightly later than Jib Jab. Oh no, they pitted at the same time, sorry. But he's gotten back past him on the mediums. Jib Jab obviously went onto the hards, and unfortunately I think that was the wrong call on the strategy. Now Jib Jab's really being pressured through the S's by Jason. This would be an unorthodox place to go for a move if he could, but he can't quite. But yeah, Jason looking pretty strong on those mediums. He said in the chat actually after qualifying that there was only so much he could do on a pad, and I think he's kind of just summed that up really with that mistake at the Dayton's there.
Van Dorn's been all over the back of Bud for the last couple of laps as well, Harry. I said I'd be expecting a move soon, but yeah, that's not quite materialised as of yet. Still got a good 40% battery more than Bunny in front of him, so I think this could be the moment for Van Dorn. Looking into the Casio triangle, the final chicane, decides against it, and he's going to go and try and get the run now onto the start finish straight. These guys not too far actually off of Brindy either, so after that mistake, was it from Bunny, I think? He's kind of started to catch back up. Yeah, Van Dorn's still not quite close enough to make a move, or maybe just not quite going for it. But they remain as they were, and Riggs has settled into P5. So I mean, obviously lost a good 2-3 places, didn't he, from that spin, but looks like he's giving it his all to catch back up to these guys and showing some pace once again in this race. Yeah,
and unfortunately I think Van Dorn might have missed the ship a little bit with this one, or missed the boat, whatever the expression is, because now Bunny looks as though he's getting very close to Brindy's DRS here.
Yeah.
And despite being, you know, into the single figures with the red light on the back of the car flashing to indicate such on the battery, if Bunny can get himself into the DRS of Brindy, I think that would really prove to be a difficult task for Van Dorn then to get past him. So Van Dorn's really got to push on now if he wants to get past Bunny before Bunny gets Brindy's DRS. He's still got 40% of his battery, Van Dorn, but again, Bunny's just getting a really nice exit out of the Casio triangle, and it's meaning that Van Dorn just can't quite unfortunately get close enough, as Sem's gone again at Dunlop curve. So yeah, he's really having a difficult afternoon, is Sem. So yeah, Bunny not got the DRS again this time, but Van Dorn needs to close this gap if he can, in order to try and get himself up into a podium position. The gap between Dylan and Brindy has come down a few tenths, but again, it's still It's still big enough
Whoa,
for
Van Dorn.
not to be concerned. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh. There's got to be a safety car for that. Yeah, there is a safety car. Oh my, that was
absolutely
a
huge,
big incident. So let's try and recap. Van Dorn then lost it on the curb, spun, and unfortunately Riggsy couldn't really do much by the looks of things to avoid it. Van Dorn lost his wheel, Riggsy's lost half of his front wing, and then McEwen came in. Again, just couldn't avoid it. He hit Van Dorn, I think.
Yeah, it was Van Dorn.
Got a 5-second penalty, and I wonder if he's got some damage from. Yes, he has as well. So McEwen's going to have to hit. So Clock has no damage and should go up into a net P4. Jib Jab also has no damage. Neither does Jason. So those guys are all right. Preds will have avoided all of that as well, as he was a little way off. But Preds now, very good position for him because he's on pretty much fresh soft.
Especially if these guys pit as well.
And yeah, Riggsy and McEwen will both have to pit, so Preds is going to inherit a couple more positions here. He'll be into P7.
They're all pitting.
And then Jason will be ahead of him with a penalty. Bennett's just pitted as well for some fresh softs, so Bennett now finds himself up into the points as well. Sem has also perhaps got a bit of maybe a get-out-of-jail-free card in the sense that he'll be able to gain back the time that he'll have lost from mistakes. Clock does stay out, so we have the top 3 pitting. And in fact, Dylan then maintains the lead from Brindy. Or, sorry, not the lead. He stays ahead of Brindy. And then Bunny still there between the 3 of them. Preds has jumped Bunny now as well. So Preds up in 6. But yeah, the top 3 all staying out. Clock, Jib Jab and Jason. Whereas pretty much everyone else is pitted for the softs. Riggsy's going to get back past McEwen then, after McEwen serving his penalty and changing his wing, so he's back up into 8th. But are we going to see a kind of Riggsy-esque drive from last season where he was, I think, on the hards and the rain was coming down and he held off Bunny and Check, I believe it was, to take the lead, or take the victory, sorry. Are we going to see something similar perhaps with Clock and Jib Jab here? And Jason, of course, but Jason does have a penalty, so obviously I'm kind of counting that when it comes to this. But Clock's had a pretty subpar season, I'm sure he wouldn't mind saying. I think he's definitely struggled this season. But wow, he finds himself in a very good position here to get a podium, if not even, dare I say it, the victory here, James.
Yeah, I really like this call from Clock. I liked it when he did it in Singapore, but I think it will probably be even better around here. He's got 2 cars in between himself and Dylan. He's the first of the guys on a fresh soft. And yeah, difficult to overtake around Japan, isn't it, of course? So yeah, I like this call from Clock. His mediums will be more than fine to go to the end now as well, so it's just going to be whether he has the pace and whether the guys between him and Dylan can hold up that Mercedes driver for a bit. This has really helped Bennett and Liam and Sem as well. Hopefully they can all catch back up and we can have all 12 of them fighting it out for position come the end. But yeah,
I'd imagine Liam will probably pit to put some softs on, would you say?
I think he's just going to try and catch up, to be honest. That's going to be his best chance of getting points. We had a check in the chat as well saying how that he was surprised Bunny pitted, and yeah, to be honest, I think I've got to agree with that. He's ended up behind Predators, so the Predators now in between him and the 2 guys that he was battling with. Yeah, I mean, if he'd have stayed out, it would look even better for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, track position's so important around here. I guess that's probably the thinking that Clock, Jib Jab and Jason have. I mean, the medium should be fine to the end now with this safety car as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be interesting because look who's right behind Bunny as well. So they can, Riggsy and Bunny perhaps renew their rivalry. Of course, had a bit of a coming together in Singapore as well. That was a racing incident though. I wonder if that earlier incident will be reported. I didn't personally see a massive amount in it, but obviously I didn't get the best of view and kind of caught it late. And I'm sure each of the drivers will have their own personal thoughts and feelings on that. But it's probably best to have another look at it after the race is done. I mean, I think we're all guilty of it. You know, when an incident happens at the time, you think, oh, you know, they've pushed me off, or I've not done anything wrong. and then you look it back and you kind of just got to hold your hands up, or you know, you got to admit that you were in the wrong perhaps. But you never know. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I'm sure Reese will have a bit of a point to prove perhaps. Now he's going to have a second chance, I think, to try and get past Bunny. Obviously Preds as well, yeah, 3-lap old softs then compared to the guys with the fresh ones in front and behind of him. But he should, you'd think, be on for some decent points nevertheless. But yeah, I mean, at track like Japan where the track position is so important, I mean, Klock's got 2 cars in between himself and Dylan, which is a nice little buffer. I think we're probably going to have, if the safety car comes in this lap, it'll be a 6-lap sprint or 5-lap sprint to the finish. Will be if it comes in
I
this
don't
lap,
think it is
which
coming
probably
in, is it?
should. Sem's caught up, but I don't think it's gonna be. So this might. Ah, it is.
Oh,
there
yes,
we go.
it is coming in.
Very
Very
late
late
call
call.
on the safety car, but it is then coming in. We'll see when Klock decides to go. And it's
Now
going
he's
to be
going.
now, I think. Yeah, there we go. He's a little bit hesitant on the traction. It looks as though Dylan's already trying to go for the move on Jason. He's got on the grass, and now Brindy's going for the move on the Red Bull driver down the inside into turn 1. Pretty easy move there. What happened with Dylan, James?
Yeah, I think he just went all Bunny and Reese have had more contact, but yeah, Dylan I think just tried to jump the gun a bit. He was on the outside of Jason, he probably wasn't expecting him to be there, and ended up getting pushed onto the grass, and that allowed Brindy to capitalise and get past them both, and that's now put him in
We got yellow
prime
flags.
position
Bennett's
for the
gone.
race win. Yeah, Bennett round
Now,
again, and
Bunny's
I
past
dare say that that's
Preds,
his
and
race of
Riggsy's
points
past Preds,
over.
and Preds has let Riggsy go. And then McEwen, I think, nearly hit the back of Preds there as well.
Brindy
So that was an
inside
interesting
of
one.
jump into the hairpin.
Oh, Riggs is trying it round the outside of the hairpin, and Bunny shut the door, and Riggs hit the back of him and lost an end plate there. It looked as though Bunny was showing Riggs the outside and then shut the door at the last second. And now Riggsy's lost an end plate. Brindy then up into second, and I think Klock's going to, yeah, as you say, have a bit of a difficult task now to hold on. And, well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Brindy's going to find himself in the lead of this race. I wasn't thinking I'd be saying that on lap 4, and he's done it down the inside through 130. Oh, what a brilliant move from Brindy. Perhaps not looking as good as it was considering the tyre advantage he has, but, well, believe me, that was a very ballsy move down the inside there. But a lot of faith in Klock to give him the room as well. And now Jason and Jib Jab are battling it out for what is P3. Jib Jab holding it around the outside, Jason having a look. 2 bites of the cherry down the inside, but couldn't get the move done. Dylan's going to be pushing. Oh, and he's hit the back of Jason, and he's now lost an end plate as well. So there's carbon fibre everywhere here. Bunny is now right on the back of Dylan, who runs wide through Dunlop. See you later, teammate. So Bunny is through, and now Riggsy and McEwen going side by side through the Degners. Bennett's retired in the pits, as it looks as though Riggsy held on to that position from McEwen, but it wasn't easy by any stretch. Has Bunny got some damage as well? It looks as though he might have lost an end plate. No, he's not. That was just my eyes deceiving me. Although I wouldn't be terribly surprised, because pretty much everyone and their dogs got damage.
Yeah. I think this strategy call from Klock is looking good still for a podium. I think it could have looked good for the win if the chaos of the restart hadn't happened. But yeah, I mean, Klock's still in prime position for a podium with laps to go. Pushing that out. Jason getting very close to the back of the racing point of Jib Jab coming into the final chicane. Yeah, Jib Jab doing a fantastic job actually on those hard tyres to keep the Red Bull behind, and the chasing pack all on the softs of course, although quite a few of them with damage. Bunny right on the back of this group now. He's going to have to bide his time. He's got the huge tyre advantage. He's just got to play his cards right and make the moves when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, those with the wing damage
game,
are just struggling so much through that first sector. Dylan's really dropping off the back of Bunny now, but yeah, Bunny's got 3 laps then. He can afford to bide his time at least a little bit. I mean, he's got the position on Jason anyway, because Jason has a penalty. But obviously I'm sure he'll want more than that, as he's going to have a look as he down into the hairpin. not quite on this occasion. Didn't fancy it down the inside. We've got a few drivers with time penalties. Preds had a pretty slow restart. Of course, let a couple of cars pass, which was rather kind of him. We didn't need to do that, as there we go then, round the outside, turns to the inside for Spoon, goes Bunny up into P4. We got yellow flags off at the back. What's happened there? We got Sem, I think, gone.
Again.
So Sem's had a chance of redemption, and unfortunately he's not been able to take it. So Sem's gone down now. Liam's pushing onto the back of Preds for the position there.
Jib jab all over the back of Clock, which is quite surprising. Probably you've been expecting to say Bunny all over the back of Jib jab, but it's actually the Racing Point driver on the hard tyres who's looking at making a move, but yeah, not quite close enough into turn one and running quite low on the battery as well. And yeah, inspired call from Clock actually to stay out, and I think at this rate we'll be speaking to him in a few minutes time for the podium interviews. But yeah, just under 2 laps to go. I think it's about time we call for driver of the day votes from the stream chat, please, guys. If you want to get the position change up as well, maybe Harry, and just see he's had some good drives through the field. I think 2 of them for sure are the guys in second and third at the moment. Clock and Jib Jab, fantastic races from both of them.
Yeah, I'll tell you what,
be
though,
looking at podiums with just under 2 laps to go.
I mean, all credit to him. I think Brindy's had a fantastic race. He's now nearly 5 seconds ahead as well. But I mean, considering he looked down and out after only a few laps, it shows, you know, what staying consistent, not making mistakes, and, you know, not giving up does. Because he's now going to find himself almost certainly, I think, winning this race. Bunny then looking for the move on Jib Jab.
I think he's just going to wait for the start finish for that DRS, or maybe use his battery here out of 130R.
No, he's going to wait.
Yeah,
he's going to play the long game. Try and get the better exit.
Dylan
Get Jib Jab down into turn one. Jib Jab's going to have the DRS as well, though, remember, so it's not going to be
he might have made a
plain
mistake
sailing
there,
for Bunny.
Yeah, I think Bunny made
fact,
a mistake not going for it.
He's not going to get it done. He's not going to
Dylan
get
past
it done,
Jason
Bunny.
as well, so Dylan back up into P5. Biggsy just dropping now, and Predators has got back past him, and Predators up into 8th, and Rigsy down to 9th. It looks like Jib Jab on those, what is it? Let me see, 20 left hard, something like that.
Oh, Bunny's trying it, Bunny's trying it, and they make contact, James, and they're gone. Jib Jab spun, and there's a blockage in the road, and someone's just retired. Jib Jab's out, Dylan's out. A massive incident there. McEwen's now up into 3rd. Predators up to 6th. A big incident between Bunny and Jib Jab has resulted in his teammate Dylan retiring as well. Bunny's been definitely in the midst of the action this evening. So it's now going to be Bunny in 4th. McEwen's up to 3rd. Jason is 5th, but with a penalty, so he's going to lose a couple of positions by the looks of things to Preds and to Rigsy. Liam's in 8th and Sem's 9th. We had 14 cars start this race. We can have 9 finish it. And here's the first one to do so then. It's going to be Brindy to take back-to-back victories, but it was far from easy for the Williams driver. He crosses the line to win the Japanese Grand Prix, and he's going to be joined by a familiar face on the podium, but one that's not been there for a while. Wiggling his wheel as he crosses the line is Clock. I'm sure he's very pleased with that performance. P2 for him. McEwen as well returns to the podium after that last lap chaos to come home 3rd. It's Bunny in 4th with Preds in 5th. I didn't quite catch the rest of the results, but we'll get to them in a minute. I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on the chat, James, to get a driver of the day. The game's given it, excuse me, to ARL Predators, who's had a fantastic drive. It was very much an up and down race, a brilliant first stint, then let a few cars through on the safety car restart, and then kind of got all the positions back as he watched the chaos unfold in front of him. But Brindy Boy then, kind of out of nowhere, it has to be said, finds himself taking a rather commanding victory in the end, it seems. And, well, you've got to feel now, James, he's got one hand on that title.
I think you certainly do. You've got to wonder if someone's looking over him, like he's got a guardian angel or something, because the way he's been able to win that race is absolutely amazing. McEwen and Clock as well.
Crazy race.
McEwen and Clock back on the podium, two of the title contenders from the last couple of years is great to see. Yeah, exactly.
1.
Yeah, the old guard back up there. I think the stewards are going to have a bit of a field day with those last lap incidents, but yeah, Predators as well finding his way into 5th through consistency.
Was Predators.
Yeah,
Great
I think it's driver of the day for Brindy, judging by the stream chat, but also quite a few shout and Clock out as well. And Clock got it last week. I think Brindy's got to be a good shout this week. He was my tick for the win, but yeah, just so consistent.
Brindy as well, James.
Doesn't make the mistakes, even though losing a couple positions, but he's always there or thereabouts to capitalise at the end, isn't he?
Yeah, he got the fastest lap as well, did Brindy, so that's a good result for him. 26 points, couldn't really gone much better when his championship rivals are all struggling. Reese came home 6th in the end, with Jason 7th, Liam then coming home 8th. I'm sure he'll be pleased with the 4 points after all of that. Sem gets 2 points despite 3 stoppings, spinning a hell of a lot. And Dylan does round out the points in P10. He obviously didn't finish the race, but as he retired after Jib Jab, he will claim the final points paying position. I told you that despite 14 drivers being present, it was going to be an exciting race, and well, boy did we deliver here in Division 1 this evening. It's time now for the podium interviews, so I'll hand it over to James to conduct them, but congratulations to the top 3 before you start.
Yeah, certainly. What a crazy end to that race. We'll start with your 3rd place driver this evening, SLR McEwen. Pretty much down and out really after that incident between Van Dorn and Riggsy. You found yourself in P9 on the safety car restart, and then in the last 3 or 4 laps you've ended up all the way in 3rd, just fighting your way through the carnage. So yeah, just talk us through how that crazy race was from your perspective.
It was a bit mental, really. I'm not really sure where to start. It's just chaos. I sat there, I think it was about lap 18, 17. I said, this is a bit of a boring race in Div 1. And yeah, kind of jinxed out a bit. But yeah, I just didn't expect anything after the first safety car. And especially going on the hards on my pit stop, it just seemed a bit out of touch for me. And then, yeah, the chaos happened and I found myself in P3, fortunately.
Yeah, fantastic result in the end after another strong showing in qualifying as well. And yeah, great to see a return to the podium from yourself.
Cheers, mate.
And yeah, speaking of return to the podium, we move on to P2, which of course Clock, first podium in a long time really. I think it might be your first podium of the season if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we both loved the call behind the safety car to stay out and take the track position. Unfortunately, the two between you and the soft spinners couldn't quite keep them behind long enough to get you the win. But either way, P2, best result so far this season, I think. And yeah, you must be pretty pleased with that one.
Yeah, finally something happens in the season. It's been quite bad, really. And then the low point in Singapore, spinning behind the safety car. But I feel like I've had 2 redemption races now, and it's really nice being back here. Yeah, I don't know what to say really. It was an alternate strategy again, but it worked really well. I was really hoping that maybe Jason and Jeb could help me a bit, but as soon as Brindy was behind me so quick.
You there?
Right. No, yeah, my controller turned off. Sorry for that, but yeah. Where did I cut off?
You said about Brindy,
Brindy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Something about Brindy.
Yeah, I was like, as soon as I saw Brindy right behind me, I knew there was no point fighting the championship leaders on first soft. It was better letting him through and focusing on keeping the position, and I did, so I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, congratulations on P2 and a return to the podium. But speaking of the championship leader then, Brindy boy, 14 points at least gained there with Bunny finishing down in P4. You've won the race, you've got the fastest lap. Again, a bit like McEwen really, look down and out in terms of the race win. a few mistakes I think early on, and found yourself behind Bunny and Riggs and Dylan. But yeah, on that restart, getting the moves done on the straight, and then yeah, pulling out a pretty big gap at the end on those soft tyres. But yeah, a pretty huge gap now with 4 races to go. Championship's not over yet, but the ball is well and truly in your court.
Yeah, thanks. I wasn't expecting the win today at all, especially after quali. I was a little bit. Well, I got third in quali, so I was quite happy with that. But I knew that the likes of Sam and some people behind me were going to be very quick on race pace. And then, yeah, I got a bad start, fell to 5th. But then I got past McEwen, and then I managed to just. I seemed to have a really good exit out of the final corner, and just managed to sort of keep people who were in my DRS behind. Then after pitting, I managed to catch Riggs and Bunny, and then yeah, I just managed to sort of. I think after Riggs spun, it put me in like position to have a go at Bunny, which I managed to do. And then once I got ahead of him, it was only Dylan ahead, and I think he got squeezed off on the restart. So I managed to get past, and then on the first lap after the restart, I went on a charge a little bit to try and get as far as I could ahead of everyone else who pitted. And then yeah, once I got past Clock, who did an amazing strategy, by the way, to stick it out on those mediums and get second. After I got past him, I was just focusing on trying to pull away to make sure that if I got any penalties or anything like that, that would be covered. And yeah, I managed to take the fastest lap with me as well.
Yeah, I don't wanna put too much pressure on you, but with only 4 races to go now? Let me just 4 races to go.
Yeah.
I believe the title can actually be won next week if my maths is correct. So I think obviously you need to outscore Riggsy and Bunny quite a bit, but I think it can be won next week. Actually, let me just work it out.
Oh,
I think
put that kind of pressure on me.
I think if you win next week, it can be won then. That'll be the first title of the of season 6 to be won. But yeah, either way, another fantastic drive and another fantastic race win. And don't wanna put too much pressure on you, but yeah, I think that would do it for the podium interview. Leave it on that bombshell.
Oops.
Is that my cue?
Yeah, that's your cue, mate.
Yeah, so again, congratulations to the top 3. It turned out to be, despite only having 14 cars, a race of attrition, as it were. It was pretty much those that didn't lose their front wing were the ones to come out on top, but I guess that's only half of the story. But yeah, congratulations again to the top 3. Brindy Boy now probably with one hand on the title, it has to be said, but there's still 4 rounds to go, so it's not over until the fat lady sings. Be sure to join us throughout the rest of the weekend for the various other divisions and the races going on. We've got no F2 again next week, so I'll say be sure to join us for, I believe, the US Grand Prix is next week, so that'll be the first race of that weekend. But thank you all for watching, and good night.